Isn't it? Restart.
Big move in Bitcoin then, in contrast to all the notes I wrote pre-show, which were telling me that this was going to put Bitcoin under pressure.
The narrative that perhaps this launch of these political meme coins will sap flows from Bitcoin is showing us that it's really not the case this morning. If anything, it's just accelerated the momentum and the excitement around cryptocurrency under another tough
Hello.
Hi, Dewald. What is all this FOMO about? Should I buy Bitcoin now?
Are you smoking your socks? You should rather watch my show. You should rather watch my show.
Hi and welcome legends to another live stream. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. It is Monday. Let's analyze the price of Bitcoin here together, and as per the thumbnail, are we getting the drop? Is the correction starting to happen here before our eyes? I see some selling pressure kicking in, or is this just a normal liquidity sweep and we're going to continue the momentum here to the upside? Right, legends, the obvious, let's get the obvious out the way. Remember to smash up that like button, right? We can see 5 wave structures to the upside. Is it time to correct and give us a deeper correction here to the downside, and maybe then we can continue back to the upside? Or is this going to be a larger, deeper correction, right? Is this the start, or will we just get a small little liquidity sweep here at the bottom, right? You sweep up the liquidity over here, you dip below, and you go and you make another high there to the upside. Right, legends, let's analyze the price. I do see some selling pressure kicking in here at the moment. Let's see if the bulls can hold on to this level, and if we're not just going to waterfall here to the downside. I know there's a lot of euphoria. Altcoins are breaking out. Altcoin season is potentially happening. You know, these are the thumbnails and all over social media that I'm seeing at the moment. Okay, right, legends, nothing goes up in a straight line, and we are going to have corrections along the way. Okay, you have a pump. You guys know the deal, right? You have a pump, you have a correction. You have a pump, you have a correction. You have a pump, you have a correction. You have a pump, you have a correction, right? Price has just been rampaging to the upside, and it's very normal to get a correction along the way. The question is this little correction correcting this structure for another high? Or is this the start of a bigger correction that's going to correct this entire structure, and then we get momentum back to the upside? Right, legends, it's all about the momentum to the downside. So let's focus quickly a little bit of a higher time frame, technical analysis, and then we can dive into this little local structure, okay, that is now potentially falling here to the downside, to see, well, you know, is there a high chance to break down lower, or can we still find support and create another high? Right, cool, legends. Damn, I shouldn't have cashed out my short, guys, but I will tell you exactly where I shorted, right? I shorted the level that we've been talking about for so long. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, when you take a FIP, normal technical, you know, basic technical analysis, this was the zone that I shorted to perfection. We've been talking about it, right? 0.88. This is where I shorted. I think it's more like 100% into profits at the moment. Right, legends, I shorted 105.668. 105.668. You guys can see it. It's close enough. 105.669.6. 105. Right in the zone is where I entered a short on weeks. Early this morning, when I saw the rejection from the 0.88, I entered with my stop above the high, and right, I took majority of my profits here by the lows and left a small little moon bag open for lower levels. Right, legends, it's just what I do as a technical trader. No one knows, okay? It could have bounced here, stopped me out. I didn't take profits. I'm going to be upset with myself, okay? When you tap the lows of a range, it's always a good bouncing area, because people wanting price to rock and roll here to the upside, where do they put their stop losses? Below these lows. So it could be a liquidity sweep, and then it continues momentum to the upside. You never know. I can count in this little structure, okay? If we look at this little structure over here on the 4-hour time frame, okay, let me take the picture here out the way, right? What is interesting on the 4-hour time frame is that I can count 3 waves to the upside. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it looks like you still need a 4 and another 5. In the smaller time frames, you can go and force count 5 waves already completed here to the upside. Okay, maybe this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's a chance that the local high could be in for now, and we are going to see a little bit of a deeper correction. But then there's also a chance that, well, on the higher time frame, it looks like a damn 3-wave structure. It looks like it needs one more high. Okay, and this is where this retracement is going to become very interesting if price continues to waterfall or to fall here to the downside. What I like to do is to take a fib from this little pivot to the high that we've created, and price needs to find support. Okay, if we're going to still go and claim this little high over here, price should not tap the 0.618 pocket, golden pocket over here. It must find support at the 0.382 and maximum target the 50%. So this is a very interesting longing zone where we could still go up for another high, and then you will clearly see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that looks like a beautiful 5-wave structure, especially focusing on the larger time frame. Okay. Right, something else that I was keeping an eye on, but I'll go through the smaller time frames in a moment. Okay, we can go and analyze this structure here in a moment, legends. I would not, well, what I would like to see, so here comes the trading setup already. Okay, what I would like to see is for price to dip below the 0.382 and get acceptance back above. Exactly what happened there. Okay, you tap the 0.88. It loses steam, it leaves a wick behind, it starts trading below, you enter like a sniper stop, you know where to put the stop. Okay, that's most important. You need to know where to put your stop loss. Right, because there's a chance that you could dip below the 0.382 and get a recovery back to the upside, right? The question is this going to be a larger 3-wave structure? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or is it going to be a quick sweep of the lows and then you get the recovery back to the upside? Personally, I would like to see a larger 3-wave structure. Okay, because we all know 3-wave structures are corrective structures. 5-wave structures are impulsive structures, motive waves. Okay, right, let me say hi to the community. Hello, legends. Alex, welcome to the live stream. Terry, good morning. Like button hit. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Hello, Cooked Socks Cult. Hi, Dewald. Welcome to the live stream. Mr. Red Hat, welcome, welcome. Hi, Dewald. Just discovered Spaceman BTC key level indicator. Have you heard of this? No. Spaceman? No, I have not heard about that. Check it out. Any other good indicators like this, you know? Well, I don't even know what Spaceman is. Okay, so yes, I mainly trade price action. The only indicator that I use is CVD. That's the only indicator that I use. Okay, and sometimes I even don't look at CVD. Sometimes it forms part of my trading strategy, but it is not something that I'm solely dependent upon. Right, when you have traded for a couple of years, you will realize that indicators can contradict themselves, especially if you have too many indicators that you are looking at. Okay, the one indicator will show bullishness and the one indicator will show bearishness. And then if you have too many indicators and moving averages and your chart looks like an absolute mess and no one can make sense of it except for you, you're most probably not making money yet. You need to learn to trade price action, okay? Because indicators can contradict each other. Right, but if you're using one or two indicators and it forms part of your trading strategy, by all means, okay, by all means, whether that be RSI, moving averages, what MACDs, whatever your favorite indicator is, I do recommend that you need to have at least one or two indicators that you are looking at for an extra vote of confidence in terms of what you're seeing from a price action perspective, okay? But if you are solely dependent on an indicator to take a trade, you need to revisit your trading strategy. Okay, you should not be dependent on an indicator to take a trade. Price action should tell you where you, okay, let me rephrase. Price action should tell you whether you should be trading or entering a long or short. Your indicator gives you another level of confluence or confidence, if that makes sense. Right, cool, legends, serious, it marks out key levels for you. It's so nice. Well, if it can mark out key levels and I don't have to do it manually, by all means. I know I do sometimes use Mr. SGS's indicator over here that gives you the weekly levels, the daily levels, because I do manually put them in, and SGS has made an indicator that actually puts them in automatically for you. But I'm still old school. I still like to put them in manually. I use this indicator to make sure that I haven't missed anything. Right, cool, legends. So from a high time frame perspective, we have to acknowledge, okay, let me take that fib out the way, that we have tapped the 0.88. So let's do a little bit of just what could happen over here. So let me share a little bit of good news. You always hear me say, when you tap the 0.88, okay, when you take a fib from the high to the low, or from the low to the high and a tap the 0.88 to the bottom, you increase the probabilities of claiming the all-time high. So it's great. It's very good news that we've now actually tapped the 0.88, because now there's an increased probability to come and claim this high with a higher chance, okay? 70% chance higher than a 30% chance of claiming the lows. Okay, so at the moment, the probabilities are higher to claim the high before we claim the low, because of this. And it's a game of probabilities. That's how I trade. And if you don't believe me, go and reverse the price action of Bitcoin and go see how many times this has happened. Okay, but the 0.88 can also be a really good area of resistance. Often what happens, so let's just stick here on the 4-hour time frame, what I've seen happens is if you get a nice little rejection at the 0.88, often what happens is price will come down to this zone over here, the golden pocket and the 0.5 Fibonacci. From my back testing, that this is what I saw. Okay, so price could successfully reject, it comes down here, okay, it still makes a higher low, right? You're still in higher low territory, and then it goes and claims the high. Right, so you could be on the formation of a deeper pullback over here, okay, or maybe you go claim the high once more and then you come down, right? We will go and analyze the situation here on the smaller time frame in a moment. But what I wanted to point out here on the higher time frame, the probabilities, because we tapped the 0.88, has now increased to take the all-time high before we take the all-time low. If price starts correcting here to the downside, very interesting zone, look at the support, okay, to pay attention to for potential long back to the upside to go and claim the all-time high. And who knows, this could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside that can even go to $130,000. Right, I must say, guys, this trend here to the upside is extremely impulsive, very bullish, very shallow retracements. And this is often signs of bull market price momentum, okay? It just pumps and it leaves people behind. And why does it leave people behind? Because it has these shallow retracements. Okay, because whoever tried to get into the retracement over here, if you were speculating on this structure to be, because that was myself included, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, right, now you want to see that retracement and you want to see continuation, and we retraced so shallow, right? When you take a fib from the low to the high, we tapped the 2.36, okay, very, very shallow retracement, and that is actually trademarks of extreme bullish momentum that leaves people behind. You are waiting for the retracement, okay, to catch the higher low inside of the zone where it needs to find support, and it just leaves people behind. Waiting, it goes, oh shit, and it forces people to buy in at higher levels. That is extreme bullish momentum, and you typically see this price behavior inside of bull markets. Okay. Or in extreme momentums to the upside. You guys can go and see it from the previous structure. Maybe I'll do that during the week. I can go and show you guys where we had these scary dumps to the downside and how price just found the low and it shot up, and it shallow retracement 2.36, and it just rock and rolled, kept on going to the upside. Okay, right, cool, legends. So I mean, higher time frame, we have to acknowledge that we have hit resistance. I wouldn't be surprised if we also hit the value area high of the range, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Yeah, currently trading. Okay, now this is a bearish sign. Ladies and gentlemen, I just have to highlight this. The fact that you had a deviation above the value area high and you are now trading below is unfortunately a bearish sign. Okay, so there's a chance that price could now start rejecting, and look at where this point of control is. Okay, remember the probability. Because you tap the 0.88, you increase the probability of taking this high. And look at where this point of control is, in confluence with this consolidation area, golden pocket. So maybe there's a chance that if we start getting a deeper correction here to the downside, this is where it's going to find support and try again to break out. Okay, very interesting. Right, cool. I think that's basically what I wanted to discuss here on the higher time frame. Okay, please go to 62. Wouldn't we all love a $62,000 Bitcoin? Wouldn't we all love it, right? Once it pumps here to the upside, okay, everyone wishes for lower prices. When we were here, no one wanted to buy. Interesting how it works, right? And then when it falls here to the downside, everyone's going to wish that they shorted, yeah, you know, the resistance over here. Okay, it's just always interesting to see how our human psychology works in terms of, you know, if we can just get that, you know, what if we get that A, B, C here to the downside? What if we get this zone over here? Right, I have seen another Elliott wave counter count this structure a little bit differently, where they basically counted it as just for, you know, just for shits and giggles. I want to share this with everyone. They counted the A wave to end over here. I think the A wave ends over here, but it's very interesting, and I'm trying to figure out why they counted the A wave to end over there. Okay, and then this is part of a B wave that's finished. Okay. Oh, I keep on. Let me do this again. A, B, C. Right, let's do that. Let's switch on the line so everyone can see what I'm talking about. Three-wave corrective structure. Okay, and the reason, well, what makes it interesting to end A over here is that you already have a three-wave structure in a B. You already have a three-wave structure. If you end the A over here, okay, you still need a three-wave structure. B can't be in. B can't be in because you only have one wave to the upside, and a B wave always has to be a three-wave structure. So in order, if your A is over here, in order to get the B, you need to correct and go up again, and then you have a three-wave structure in a B. If your A is over here, right, guys, and I will go and do some more research just to see, well, how exactly did they count it? A, B, a W, X, Y, maybe a W, X, Y, and an A. Okay, but if you move your A one leg up to this little pivot, well, then you potentially have 1, 2, 3. You end your B, and then maybe your dream will come true. Okay, maybe we'll get that 68, you know, 65, $62,000 Bitcoin here to the downside. Right. I mean, nothing is for certain in the market, and if we do dump here to the downside, it will definitely be a great buying opportunity because it's still a 3-wave structure, which means it's a corrective structure. So even if price falls down here aggressively to the downside in a 5-wave structure, it eats up the lows. I will be there buying like a crazy person, okay, because it's still corrective, which means you're going to go up and take the high again. Right, but because of this, okay, there's now an increased chance to come and claim this high before we claim the low. Right, legends, just quickly wanted to talk about this bearish case scenario and also the comment from people saying they wish they could get the $62,000, $68,000 Bitcoin, right? It's not off the cards just as yet, but I have to add that the structure looks incredibly strong to the upside. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After a 5-wave structure, you want a 3-wave corrective structure. This becomes your 1, okay, 1, 2, this becomes your 2, and then you go up for a parabolic 3rd wave to the upside. Okay. Right, legends, that is the bearish case scenario. Let's take this out the way. What I want to do now is zoom in here onto the smaller time frames. So let's go look at the 15-minute. Just want to see, well, what is cooking here at the bottom, right? Are we forming 5 waves here to the bottom? A, B, C, 3-wave down. Guys, I just need to measure something here quick because I'm seeing something on the larger time frames that I didn't see on the 5-minute time frame just now. Okay, so if this is the end, I want to see if that hit B flat targets. Let's reverse it. Okay, it's all about measuring the level so that you can see what structure you are busy with. No, can't be a flat. Okay, so what I was trying to figure out here, legends, is that is this potentially a 1? Okay, is this an A, B, C flat? And this is now 3, 4, 5, where you now form a 5-wave structure to the downside, which means you can now get 3-wave structures up and continuation to the downside to complete the correction, okay, where this could potentially now be the local top for now. Right, but at the moment, no, it invalidated a couple of scenarios. So let's go to the 5-minute time frame. Okay, I'm really trying to see, are we building impulses to the downside? Because that's my clue. My clue is if we're building impulses to the downside, okay, any retracement to the upside becomes a shorting opportunity. That is what I'm trying to figure out over here. So it's very important for me to see, well, is this a 5-wave structure or is this a corrective structure and we're still going to go and claim the high? That's what I'm trying to figure out over now, right? It's a very complex structure over here. And what I can see is maybe this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is potentially your wave 1. This is a corrective structure, and now you went down for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This could be A, B, C, and now you need one more wave because now you have 3 and you still need 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The retracement becomes very interesting. So we actually still need a retracement and we need another low to complete a 5-wave structure to the downside, unless it's a contracting diagonal. Let's see, guys, let me put in the numbers so we don't I don't confuse myself over here. So if this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, we are now busy with 4, and we're going to still make another 5 to the downside. Okay, let me put in the numbers so we can all see what we're dealing with over here. Right. Can it form a contracting diagonal? This is now what I'm trying to figure out. So I need to connect these pivots. Okay, and you connect these little pivots from number 2. Let me just get it as close as possible. So yeah, there's a chance for a contracting diagonal to the downside. right? Very steep contracting diagonal to the downside. And you do this. Okay. I don't expect the fifth wave. If we do get another low, I don't expect the fifth wave to just waterfall over here, because your third wave or your first wave is already long. Your third wave is a little bit shorter, which means that your fifth wave is not allowed to be longer than this wave. Right, so speculating on a potential reversal here to the downside. Okay, so this could be, and maybe I should do this so for more, if you know, if it doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense, this is basically what I'm looking at. Pretend we are bullish, right? I want to see a contracting diagonal to the upside. So in a bullish case scenario, what I would tell everyone is to say that, well, maybe this is your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You make an ABC and we get continuation to the upside, which in this case is to the downside. So you can see that if we make another low, I'm looking for a shorting opportunity. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can count 5 waves there. A, B, C. So it's most probably still busy with the fourth wave over here. But for me to be convinced that this is a 5-wave structure to the downside, okay, we need to take the low again. Right, so let me put this back. Just some interesting things that I like to look at, okay? Sometimes I reverse the chart upside down just to see, well, does the structure make sense? Because sometimes, you know, your brain is so bullish, you've just been trading bullish momentum, and sometimes you need to flip the picture around to see it from a different perspective. Okay, right, legends, if the fourth wave taps this little pivot, okay, let me put it in here. There's your invalidation. Let's put it in there. There's an invalidation for this scenario. Okay, and we're going to pull it, and we're going to put it in validation. Okay, as soon as you tap that invalidation, we're most likely going up. Okay, because this fourth wave is not allowed to go into the territory of 1. Right, so you want it to reject, but also you can see, even if it had to pop out here, you have a problem. You have an expanding structure, which is never preferred unless all other scenarios fail. So not only is it the first wave that you're going to overlap, you're also going to create an expanding structure. It needs to be contracting, way more common than an expanding structure. Expanding structures are never preferred unless all other scenarios fail. And if all other scenarios fail and you have, you know, it's the last option on the table, then you can take it into consideration. But for now, it has not failed. Right, so looking at contracting, another way to do this is you take a parallel channel, okay, a tip of the trade. You take a parallel channel here on your tool section, parallel channel, you connect 1 with 3 over here, you drag it to number 2, okay, and this line becomes your invalidation. Your fourth wave is not allowed to tap that line. Okay, right, then you know, if price falls down, so if whatever price does over here, if it falls down and claims this low without tapping this line, then you could say, okay, well, this looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You expect that relief rally here to the upside, okay? But now be careful, you have a 5-wave structure. So this could be a 3-wave corrective structure, and then you go back down. Okay, so I will be looking for shorts. Right, if this scenario had to play out the way that I've painted it out over here. Okay, cool legends, remember to smash up that like button, and of course guys, if you'd like to come and trade with me, the links are always down in the description. You select more to open it up. I've got weeks. They still have that 20,000, they still have that 20% cash back on the money that you deposit in your features account, and 25% discount on your trading fees. It makes a huge difference, especially if you're scalping like I'm doing on weeks. Okay, this nice little trade that I got into, I'm not sure if it's going to show it, right? the nice little trade that I got into on weeks. Where is that now? Here we go. Right, nice little trade that I got into weeks. Okay, paying lower fees really makes a big difference. But I must say, I've taken it a step further, and I'm not affiliated, and I do not benefit in any way from telling you this. Okay, I bought some native tokens because, as you guys know, each exchange has their own native tokens, and usually when you hold that exchange's native token, what happens is you qualify for special events and you get lower trading fees. So, you know, I get a little bit more than 25% discount on my trading fees because I hold the WXT token, the native token. And it's not to make money off that token. It's not an investment. It's just so that I can maximize the benefits and the trading fees here on weeks. Right. Let's take this out the way. Okay, let's go back here onto the 5-minute time frame. Now it's going to be very interesting to see how the structure plays out. Okay, so for the bulls, right? Let's talk about the bulls over here. For the bears, you want to reject before you hit the trend, the parallel channel, and you want to make one more low. So for the bears, this potentially becomes a great short, well, not that high, but the 3-wave corrective structure becomes a great shorting opportunity for continuation to the downside. For the bulls, it needs to hold and tap the invalidation. Once you tap the invalidation, and hopefully it rejects. If it rejects, that rejection becomes a longing opportunity. You put your stop below the low and you could target these highs for profit-taking areas. So can you guys see how I use Elliott wave theory to figure out what I need to trade and how I need to trade it? Okay, because I often get people here in the live stream that tell me that Elliott wave theory is BS. Okay, well, I'm showing you now how I use Elliott wave theory to figure out whether I should be looking for shorts or whether I should be looking for longs, and where I should be looking for those shorts and where I should be looking for those longs with good risk management. No technical analysis is perfect at the end of the day, but I can tell you now, Elliott wave theory is the best predictive tool that we unfortunately have available, and it does unfortunately come with a lot of practice. Okay, so cool, legends. That is what I'm looking at. I'm just going to leave that parallel channel, just hide it over there. Very, very, very interessant. Very interessant. Okay, right. Dewald, AR is pumping. It's time we call Forbes. Mr. Satoshi, I remember you bought AR when I was buying AR. And at some point I told you I'm not buying it anymore because I have enough. Right? So I am smiling at the moment. I am really smiling at the moment. AR, I think, is going to do phenomenal things here to the upside. Right, guys, I'm also, let me just swing my face to the other side so I can show you guys my list. Okay, I'm not going to go into too much detail about my list today. Wait, where's my, let me do this. Okay, let me put myself small here in the corner. And then let me share my screen there again with you guys. Right, so here I have a list. The blue list. Okay, I've just started with the blue list. And it's going to get fuller and fuller and fuller as we go along. This blue lists are altcoins that I personally have accumulated or are still buying or still adding to my positions, and that for me are worth adding or having in my portfolio. So I'm looking at the macro structures, the weekly time frames, the Elliott wave scenarios. For those of you that's been here in the live stream on Friday, you know exactly what I'm looking at. I'm looking for a token that has been around for a while, that has data, that are still showing bullish structures, that has made beautiful corrective structures to the downside, WXYs, ABCs, 5-wave impulses to the upside. I'm looking at technically good and strong fundamental tokens, and I'm adding them to this list. Okay, so far I have Litecoin, I have Fetch, AR, you see, Mr. Satoshi, it's here on the list. AR is on the list. Okay, I just want to see, well, what has happened so far. Yeah, Mr. AR to AR. Man, oh man, you are making me very happy. You are making my heart very happy because I can already also see 5 wave structures to the upside. Right, but legends, you guys get the idea. I've got AR, I've got XRP. Yes, XRP is on my list. I've got Link, ICP, Doge, and there's a couple of more that I need to still add on here. Okay. Cool. Let's finish the technical analysis here on the price of Bitcoin. Brett, yes, Brett and Myro. Remember, guys, where I told you guys I have 2 small altcoins in my portfolio, and I couldn't remember what they were. And one of them is Brett, and the other one is Myro. But my significant position, or something that will actually make a difference to my portfolio, is Doge. Right, I'm old school when it comes to technical analysis. I like to have something in my portfolio that has a track record. Okay, so the Myro and the Brett that I have combined doesn't even, stand up next to the Doge position, for example, that I have. Let me just put myself back here where I belong. Right, legends. Now the question is, okay, if the bulls can hold this level, and claim the invalidation, I will be looking for longs. If we reject, okay, and we make one more low, okay, this retracement is going to become very interesting for me to look for shorts. Okay, when I look at a structure, I want to see 5 waves to the downside. If the structure stops over here, well, then you have a 3-wave structure. You have a 3-wave structure if it stops over here and it taps the invalidation, which means you automatically increase the probabilities of coming to claim this high. Hope that makes sense. Okay, it works both to the upside and to the downside. Okay, do you guys remember this? Okay, I'm sure everyone remembers this. Right, I might have to just zoom out here a little bit. Okay, I'm sure everyone remembers this little structure. This one. Okay, it's just it's the structure that I'm using because most people remember it. The Donald Trump pump, fake news pump, whatever you want to call it. Okay, when you make a 3-wave structure to the upside, and there's not a 4 and a 5 that takes the high. If you cannot see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clear 5-wave structures, you increase the probabilities of taking the low. It took a while, but we did. Because we formed a 3-wave structure, okay, and we took the low. Now you guys can see how the probabilities play out, and you can go and back test it. Okay. Right, well, as part of Elliott wave theory, you need to form 5-wave impulses to the upside in order to get continuation in that direction. So when you make tippy tops like we've just done now, I always look for, well, if I'm speculating like, what if this is the high and we're going to get a deeper correction to the downside? You have to form 5-wave structures to the downside to give the scenario higher probabilities. If we stop here, tap the invalidation, whatever happens over here, okay, when it wants to go backwards and sideways and a little bit zigzag up and down, you're most likely going to come and take that high again. Right. If we fall down, make a 5-wave structure, then the probability starts increasing that this could be an A, this could be an B, and then you're going to go down for a C. Okay, larger 3-wave structure to the downside. Right. I'm not going to overcomplicate it at the moment. I don't want to overcomplicate it because, some people will then tell me, well, Dewald, what if it's an ABC? I know, because this could be an A wave if we get 5 waves to the downside. You could go up for B flat and then come down for a C. Right, but the point that I'm trying to make, this is now where it becomes complex and people are like, oh shit, man, I thought we're not going to take the high. If you have 5 waves to the downside, you always have a possibility where you can still claim the high with a corrective structure. And that is what we refer to as a flat. The B and the C takes the highs and the lows of the range that you are in. And it's a corrective structure. But I can tell you guys now, if it rejects now and it forms a 5 wave, ideally from a simplicity perspective, you want to form a lower high, okay, structure starting to roll over and continue down. If it continues in a bigger three-wave structure to the upside, but it's still a three-wave structure, that tells me it's a B wave. I can see the 5 waves here. I'm aware of a flat. Then the high becomes a shorting zone. It dips above, it gets acceptance back below. You short, your stop goes above the high. You have an increased probability of coming to claim this A and go down lower. Okay. So I know it gets a little bit more complex, but let's just keep it simple, step by step. So what could be forming something like that, right? If we do not tap the invalidation, okay, missed the invalidation over here, and we go down, one more high, one more low, 3 wave up, 5 waves down, okay, 5, 3, 5. Right, cool legends. If price, okay, now the question is, Dewald, what if we tap the invalidation? Okay, then what I'm trying to figure out over here is the following. Let's take this out the way. Then it could be a 535 to the downside. Okay, exactly what I've just explained. What if this, okay, let's map it out here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, you have 5 waves there to the downside. Then you have this cocky 3-wave structure. It's not a 5-wave structure. And then you have another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you basically have a 5, 3, 5. It's a corrective structure. A, B, C, W, X, Y, however you want to count it. Okay, it's a 3-wave corrective structure. So now I'm talking about the bullish case scenario. What if we do not claim the low? Okay, you can also measure the target over here. You can measure the target. It needs to bounce at a 3-wave structure target. Okay, right. So let me just take the Elliott wave stuff there out. You take your trend-based fib from the high to the low to the high. We reverse it. Let's just see if it did tap a nice little 3-wave structure target to the downside. Almost 1-to-1. Almost tapped the 1-to-1 extension over here. Almost. And that actually opens up the door to another probability. Because you did not tap the 1-to-1 extension ever so slightly front-run it. Let's say we don't come down here now. And we don't have the 5-wave structure. I hate to say it, but because I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside of this structure, there is still the chance for 5, 3, and a dump. So you have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 to the downside because we didn't tap the 1-to-1 extension over here. Okay, you could still form a double 1-2 to the downside, but you're not allowed to claim that low, that high. You're not allowed to claim that high. I'm so used to talking about Elliott wave theory from a bullish case perspective. Okay, right. Legends, this could definitely still be a 1-2, 1-2, and it just dumps. And it's going to tap the invalidation. Okay, so now you guys can see why it's not easy. Okay, so I want to see how we move up here. We have some selling pressure kicking in over here, and I think this retracement back to the upside, okay, is going to be very interesting. If there is bearish CVD forming against this pivot as price is pumping here to the upside, even if it smashes the invalidation, and there's bearish CVD forming as price is climbing over here, okay, you could be in a double 1-2, and you're going to make a lower high. Okay, maximum rejection area that you would like to see is the 786. Let's take all the scribble out, take my fib, right, 786. Still pretty far away. Okay, 50% nice alignment here with the invalidation. Okay, you have the golden pocket. You actually have nice resistance here at the golden pocket. Beautiful resistance at the golden pocket. Okay, so let's put that resistance box in there. There we go. There's your resistance. That's the most obvious resistance. You guys can see support, 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 support. You lost it. Okay, so this is now the scene of the crime. What I like to refer to as now the scene of the crime. Okay. So you could come back, grab my pen, because I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Definitely a possibility, legends. Definitely a possibility. We need to just see what happens here. I want to see CVD at the moment. Are we showing strength? Yes, for the moment, it's showing strength. Luckily, CVD for the moment is showing strength and it's not showing weakness at the moment. Okay, so wait. Before I cement that comment, guys, ladies and gentlemen, look at this. Little bit of weakness over here on yellow. You have higher high on CVD. You have lower high on price action over here. So there's already a little bit of bearish, local bearish CVD again, building against this pivot. Claiming this high, okay, will obviously invalidate that local bearish CVD. Okay, right. Cool, but it is price action that is most important to me, okay? It's price action takes priority over any indicator for me, okay? I want to see if there are signs of strength. Okay, that got taken. Yeah, there's no bullish CVD at the moment locally. Maybe on the larger time frame, 1 hour, 15 minute, you can spot bullish CVD. I am always more interested in local CVD, 3 minute, 5 minute time frame. I want to see what's happening here because this local CVD overrides larger time frame CVDs. So, and this is why I like to focus, because I'm a day trader. I get in, I get out, I take my profits. This CVD for me is way more important than jumping here onto the 1 hour. Okay, because I think that's what a lot of people will do. They'll jump here onto the 1 hour and they will say, holy crap, look at this. Price is going up, CVD is falling down. That is extremely bullish, right? But all of this CVD, all of it, already played out because we took all the highs. That little pivot over there took all the highs. So all the bullish CVD played out. Now people might say, well, if I now compare it to this little pivot, over there we have bullish CVD. The target is the high. Okay, right? Bullish CVD. Bullish CVD against this pivot. Okay, and even against this pivot, we have bullish CVD building up. Right? And then what happens is price continues to fall and you're like, why is it not turning around? It's supposed to claim the high. Because locally you could have bearish CVD overriding the bullish CVD on the larger time frame. This is why CVD on the smaller time frame for me always takes priority. Okay, and this is why I don't trade CVD on 1 hour and up. I don't look at it. 15 minutes still okay. 5 minute, 3 minute best time frame. Okay, I want to see strength and weakness. Yeah, well, what is happening there? I want to see, is there strength or is there weakness inside of that little zone over there? Right, legends, remember to smash up that like button if you haven't done so already. Okay, let's go through some comments. Let's go through some comments. Very interesting. So guys, for those who, I see there's a lot of people joining into the live stream here at the moment. So what I'm looking at the moment, okay, it's not easy. It's not easy. I can see a 1, 2, 3 wave structure to the downside. There's a chance that the bulls can take control because this is a 3 wave structure. Okay, you grabbed all of the liquidity below all of these lows. You ate up all the liquidity. You stopped them out. Okay. The business on top was done this morning, and now potentially the business at the bottom is done over here. Okay. If you fall down and you do not tap my invalidation over here, well, then you have a 5 wave structure to the downside. That is trouble. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not allowed to tap the invalidation. Okay. the retracement becomes a very interesting shorting opportunity for continuation to the downside, especially if we make one more low without tapping the invalidation. But now I know it gets a little bit more complex than that, because this could also be a 1 2 1 2. Okay, it goes, it smashes the invalidation, but then it has to reject at the 786 maximum target. It can reject, unfortunately, anywhere in this zone, and you could still have a 1 2 1 2, and you waterfall to the downside in a third wave. Okay, I would rather want price to fall down before it hits the invalidation, okay, because then I know I have a 5-wave contracting move to the downside. It's easier to get into the short. It's a more obvious trade. It's a better trade. I want to see the 5 waves to the downside, because these double 1-2s to the bottom, they can get really nasty really quickly to the downside. Okay, and the range in which to trade them is a little bit bigger as well. Okay, right, legends. Hope you guys are enjoying the technical analysis. I know everyone's bullish. Everyone wants to see their favorite altcoin. And I think I've basically discussed everything that I wanted to discuss here on the larger time frame. One thing to end off with, okay, is that when I look at this little structure that we formed here to the upside, okay, this little structure that we formed here to the upside, it really looks like we have a 1 2 3 for now. So there is still the chance for a 4 and a 5 to go and claim the high again. But I want to see a 3-wave corrective structure. You guys can see that's why I want these lows to be claimed over here. Because once you reject here, you claim those lows again, you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This becomes your 3-wave structure, ABC. Okay, and you go down 1 2 3 4 5. Maximum target should be your 50% Fibonacci taken from this low. That should be your maximum target, exactly where I have the drawing. Okay, 50% is your maximum target. You want to see a 3-wave corrective structure, ABC, WXY. This corrective structure is then basically correcting this impulse. If it taps the 0.618, you're most probably going down lower. Okay, which means that this corrective structure could be correcting the entire impulse that we formed since $74,000. Okay, so what I'm trying to speculate on, legends, is this is always the conundrum. Okay, let me shower you guys with another a little bit of education. Okay, when you form waves to the upside, like this structure that we formed since $74,000, you can see that each wave to the upside had a correction. Remember, time in a correction is more important than how deep the correction goes. Okay, because often people will think about a correction, yeah, it needs to do this, make a higher low and then continue. They look at how deep the correction goes. Time is more important. And from a timing perspective, this correction made perfect sense. Okay, so the question is always, when you form an impulse, okay, this impulse corrected itself. This was the correction for this impulse. Then you have another motive wave to the upside. This correction, okay, was for this impulse. You could even argue that, you know, this was the entire correction, you know, however, but what I'm trying to highlight over here is each impulse has its own correction. Impulse, correction. Now you have an impulse. Now the question is, and this is why what I'm trying to highlight over here is this correction that we could potentially now start forming. Is this going to be a correction for this impulse? Okay, or at some stage, when you form, especially now, when you're in 5-wave territory, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, this correction ain't for this impulse anymore. This correction could now correct the entire structure. And this is what you get after 5 impulses to the upside. So when you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, often what happens is this correction now has the potential to correct the entire structure, which means it can come deeper. Even find support maybe here above $85,000, right? That's now the question. Have we formed the local high and we're now going to start in correcting the entire structure, because we can count 5 waves here to the upside already? Or are we going to get one more push? One more push. Okay, so this is why, I'm looking at this structure over here, legends, to say that, well, okay, if I zoom into the 4 hour, and this is something that Elliott wave theory teaches you, do not zoom in to the price action on smaller time frames if it doesn't make sense. Zoom out. Very important. I think that is one of the best tips that I've ever learned in Elliott wave theory. Zoom out. And if you can clearly see 5 waves to the upside, or not 5 waves to the upside, that is most likely the count. So if I look at this structure on the 4 hour time frame, I can see a 1, 2, 3. I'm not seeing a 4 and a 5 yet. But if you go into the smaller time frames, you see that's it. The smaller time frames sometimes creates the confusion. It can definitely still be the case. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 5 over there. It doesn't matter. But then I can count 5 waves here. So there's a chance. That's just what I'm saying, guys. Nothing's ever guaranteed in the market, but there's a chance that this is the local high for now. And if there's completed 5 waves inside of this structure, there's a high chance that whatever is going to start happening over here could correct this entire structure that we formed since $74,000. Right, I'm just trying to stay level-headed over here, legends. I don't want to be that person that just says it's only up from here. Okay, I don't want to be that person, especially if I can start seeing clear 5 waves to the upside. You know that you're starting to hit the top over here. It's getting close. This is where you need to be really careful with just trying to open up a swing long position that's going to take us to $130,000 especially after you can already see 5 waves. Okay, yes, there's a chance that maybe this is 1, 2, 3. It goes down for 4 and makes one more high. Okay, and then that becomes your structure. Okay, and then you reject the entire structure, but you guys can see it's getting close. It's getting very close. So even with one more high, or if that is the high, you can already see 5 waves to the upside, and it becomes very dangerous to try and look for epic longs to the upside. Let's buy and don't look back. I'd rather wait for a pullback or a retracement, okay? And I'd rather just day trade and scalp this range instead of opening up large positions, okay? Unless you're a type of person that's very comfortable with being underwater, okay? If you're a type of person that says, well, I believe the bull market is back, I don't want to speculate on a retracement and how deep it's going to go. I'm just going to buy over here. Okay, if you are comfortable with being underwater, knowing that you planned for this, then, obviously that's part of your trading strategy. Okay. Right. Let's go through some comments. You the man, thank you for being you, Rocket. Thank, absolute pleasure, man. Thanks for the good comments, or the positive comments. I bought AR at 4.6. Can't it go back there? Short term. I need to check where's my average entry price on AR. I need to just check the structure, because I remember when I bought over here. Yeah, I am slightly in profits because I bought AR in this zone. This is where I bought AR, in this zone. And I'm currently slightly above, ever so slightly above my entry point, okay? Because I bought aggressive, and as you go higher, you start buying less aggressive. And then, yes, with AR, I did not take profits, okay? Didn't take profits here at the highs. I rode it all the way to the downside, and I stopped buying at some point. I stopped buying. I even, from a swing trade perspective, I bought here. I can't remember the whole story, but I tried to open up a swing trade, got stopped out. Anyways, my spot bags are still loaded, And right now I'm very happy with the structure. You might be thinking to yourself, is Dewald smoking his socks? Okay, look at this. What is Dewald smoking? Why did he buy AR? Why was he so bullish on AR? Because I know Mr. Satoshi here, okay, he was nervous with me because I thought, oh my God, here we go. We're going to take the lows, right? That's what I thought. We're going to take the lows. And I kept on saying in the live streams, as long as we do not take this low, I am bullish on this damn token. And if we do take the low, then I will execute my exit strategy, but I will still walk away with profits. Okay. What makes AR a little bit more interesting is, let me go to the log scale. This is where things really get interesting. Okay, on the log scale, it doesn't look so bad. Now that we're talking about AR over here. Okay, so yeah, beautiful, 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 beautiful. Let me just hide some of these things, clean it up. Okay, let me take this out the way. Right, so guys, remember the probabilities. You've tapped the 0.88, which unfortunately does increase the probability of taking the low. Okay, but in Elliott wave theory, this only increases the probabilities to take that low. It doesn't invalidate the bullish structure. You have to take the low in order to invalidate it. So this could still be a 1, and this could still be a 2. It does not take the low, and it just rampages here in a third wave to the upside. And Mr. Satoshi, I think you will remember, okay? You will remember, this is exactly what I spoke about. As long as this structure is corrective and not impulsive to the downside, I'm going to hold on to my position, which I did, because this turned out to be a 3-wave structure. Okay, you need impulses to the downside to confirm continuation to the downside. So if you look at this structure, okay, look at this, beautiful. Let me take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can see 5 waves to the upside. Okay. Now I can see, let's take the 5-wave structure again. Okay, 1, 2, 3, there's no 5 waves yet. I can only see a 3-wave structure. So 4 and 5, okay? Guys, this is, by the way, this is part of my exit strategy. So if you still do reject on Mr. AR and you go down for a 5-wave structure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, then I will execute my exit strategy. Right? Not going to take a loss. There's no ways I'm going to take a loss, because after a 5-wave structure, what do you get? You get a retracement. That becomes my exit strategy. Right. But one thing that I do have to point out, and I'm not going to go into too much detail over here, is that there are problems inside of these structures to be impulsive structures to the downside. There's a problem for this to be a wave 1. There's a problem for this to be a wave 2. Okay, it's very overlappy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Retracement. Okay, I remember it's an expanding. I think it was an expanding structure. There's a couple of problems. So there's no invalidations, but there's problems for this to be bullish to the downside. So although you can count 1, 2, 3, and now you're like, you know, oh shit, is this a 4 and a 5 now going to form here to the downside? Okay, I have to acknowledge that there's a problem with the structure. It's an expanding structure, which is never preferred unless all other scenarios fail. It counts better as an ABC to the downside. Let me just cut to the chase. So if I take a trend-based FIP from the high, okay, I just need to take that high out the way so I can see it properly, because you have targets. So from the high to the low, to the high, and we have also tapped the 1.236 beautifully where we held support. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a 3-wave structure target. 1, 2, 3. This is a 3-wave structure target. The 1.382 is also a 3-wave structure target, but it still does not take the low. Okay. Right, so There's a chance, as long as this low can hold. And I just want to see something. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if you can claim this pivot at $12.38, if you can claim $12.38 over here with this momentum here to the upside, as soon as you claim that little level, you significantly increase the probabilities of claiming the high. Significantly. So it still has a little bit of work to do here to the upside. But, I'm banking on the fact that it found support at a three-wave structure target. There's a couple of problems with the structure, so it doesn't count pretty as five-wave structures to the downside. It looks three-wavy at the moment. This looks five-wavy, definitely to the upside. Three-wave, guys, this is what I always preach, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, continuation. And this is exactly what AR looks like at the moment, although it is scary as hell to the downside in terms of it just looks like it wants to come and claim this low. Okay, right. What is Bitcoin doing? Is it currently getting a little bit of a recovery? Okay, I can just imagine how people got scared. Right, it's still holding its own. Dewald, CPI coming up tomorrow. CPI, do we have CPI tomorrow? Let me go look at my calendar over here. High impact. Oops, no, I don't want. I want to see high impact. So high impact with Tuesday. We've got core inflation rate month on month, year on year. Okay, so at 2:30 p.m. Central European time, we have some high impact news coming out. Interesting. Thursday, we've got PPI, retail sales month on month, and Friday. Okay, so yeah, I think the most important news is tomorrow, right? 2:30. I'll see if I can be live at 2:30, right? So we can maybe see what this is going to cause over here. Right, legends. What else? Fetch. Okay. Bitcoin. Okay, let's go through some more comments. Mrs. Elizabeth, welcome to the live stream. Hi, folks. So we hit 0.88 now. How deep is the usual correction locally on BTC? Locally on BTC. So the top fives, I have gone through the larger time frame here in the beginning of the stream. Often what happens, okay, so if I look at this structure on the 4-hour time frame, and this is just based on probabilities in terms of what I've seen play out, okay, when you take a fib from the high to the low, we've rejected by the 0.88, okay, we all know this now, right? That is where I entered the short on weeks. There we go, right? This is where I entered the short on weeks. Right, literally shorted the top over there, right, at $105,668, and I've taken majority of the profits to the downside and leaving some of the position open for lower levels. You never know, maybe that is the tippy top and we're going to fall down, so I want to leave a moon back open. Okay, so right, and remember guys, best deals on weeks, links down below, cost you nothing extra. So let's put this back. Usually what happens, okay, for those of you that's only joined the stream now, is that when you tap the 0.88, you increase the probabilities of taking that high. What happens is if it does not take it directly, okay, because that is one scenario, it just takes it directly. It doesn't even give you a retracement. The most common retracement after you tap the 0.88 is your golden pocket, and maximum your 50% Fibonacci. Okay, but this is the most common retracement after you tap this level. What makes this area so interesting is it also aligns with the point of control of this entire range. Okay, so let's play this out. I've seen this play out many times. You tap the 0.88, price comes down to the golden pocket. I see this play out on the 1 minute time frame, 30-second time frame, 5 minute, you name it. Okay, tap the 0.88, you get a retracement, bounces on the golden pocket, point of control, it takes the high. Okay, so definitely a zone that we need to pay attention to. I have also seen the 50% get tapped where this consolidation area will provide support. Right, so from a probability perspective, this is something that I have seen play out often. So if that was the tippy top and we're not going to take the top again and we start rejecting here to the downside, very interesting zone, very interesting, very interessant. Let me take a flip from the low to the high. Okay, it also aligns with your maximum target or your 786. So your maximum target here, 786, is what I would like to see get hit over here. Okay, because then this is still a bullish structure that takes the high. Boy, oh boy, guys, I mean, if this had to play out, okay, if we get the bounce here and it goes and it takes the high, this is then a 1-2, 1-2, a triple 1-2. This is a triple 1-2 combo to the upside. So then you expect, I mean, so let's play out the scenario. If we reject and we come down to the golden pocket, find support over here, okay, hopefully bounce at the 786 when you take a fifth from the low to the high of that local structure. This, ladies and gentlemen, okay, is going to be face melting if this had to play out. Because if you have a triple 1-2, okay, the more 1-2s you have, the more bullish the structure becomes. Okay, this is going to leave the station and it's going to, okay, it's going to 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5 to the upside, because now it has to repeat this at the top. But you want to see that initial leg with high volume just rocket to the upside. This is the leg that almost no one gets into. It's too aggressive. It just, if you didn't build a position here, you're going to struggle to get into this leg unless you just FOMO. Okay, and FOMO is not a strategy, right? But if you have a triple 1-2 and you rock and roll here to the upside, you can expect a triple 4-5, 4-5, 4-5, 4-5. This is a bullish structure. I mean, can it get that crazy? Well, we'll have to see, depending on the retracement. That is an absolute insane bullish structure, by the way. Okay, and it wouldn't surprise me, given the cycle that we are still inside of bull market structure. It has not come to an end. This all was just a damn healthy correction to the downside. Okay, this is all still a healthy correction to the downside, very overlappy, very choppy, not impulsive, you know, constantly getting above the lows, over here. I've gone into detail where I told everyone while we were falling here to the downside, I kept on saying during every single live stream, the probabilities are still higher to claim that high before we claim the low at $48,000. I don't know. For those of you that's been following me for a while, you know I've been hammering this point every single live stream. I got hate for it, okay, while we were falling down here, because it's corrective. I told everyone we're going to claim that damn high before we claim that damn low. All of this becomes a buying opportunity. Okay, and look at where we are right now. Right. Cool. So I hope I've answered your question. Very interesting, but we are getting rejected. You can see we are at obvious resistance. 0.88 is where we got the rejection. It's the short that I'm currently in. And now we're trading below the value area low, of value area high of this entire range. Okay, we're trading below the value area high, which is a bearish sign at the moment. So we need to, and that value area high, by the way, coincides with the invalidation that I have there. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. Right. Let's go through some more comments. Dewald, I don't see tap of 0.88 if I put my FIP exact on Binance Perpetual. We are $80 short. Maybe it's because you have it at 886, your 88.6. I don't know, right? I have it 88. Not sure, guys. Let me use a magnet. Let me make sure, guys. We did tap that level because if I did short that level and we didn't tap it, then maybe I got lucky. Okay, let me put on the magnet. Right. Let's snap it onto that level. Let me put it with a magnet here at the bottom. Okay, let me put on a line. We did tap it. Okay, even with my magnets, we did tap it. 0.88, 0.88, not 0.86. Okay, or 886, I'm not sure, guys. I used the 0.88 level. Okay, did. Right, that's where I shorted. Like a sniper, with my stop above the high when we fell down, protected my position, took profits all the way here to the downside. I took majority of my profits here by the lows. Okay, took majority of my profits, and I'm just leaving a moon bag open for lower levels. Right, in that little short that I've highlighted, I think I closed it now. Yes. 8.6 I use. What you use? 8.8 only. Yes. I just want to see if that makes a difference. Okay, let's go back here. I have seen people talk about the 886. Okay, it's not a level that I've personally backtested. I've backtested the 0.88 from a probability perspective. Okay, so let's put that back. Let's check the settings. So if I change that to 6, it still got tapped. Or is it 886? Okay, let's do 886. 886. Whoops, no, not 4. Okay, let's try it then. Yep, then it did not get tapped. Okay, guys, I have personally never used the 886. It's not a level that I've used. I've backtested the 0.88. That's it. Okay. So when I talk about probabilities, I've taken the FIB, I've reversed the price of Bitcoin, and I've backtested the 0.88 level. And the reason I'm hammering on this is because who asked the question? Sin Games. Someone else asked me the exact same question once in a live stream, 886, and I was like, why is the person talking about 886? I've never used the 886. Okay. I have backtested the 0.88. That's it. 0.88. There you go. Right, got tapped. Okay, and that's where I played the swing failure from. So yes, I agree with you. If you change it to 886, then it has not been tapped. It's been front run. Okay, I'll have to give the 88 a try. Yes, give the 88 a try. Okay, I'm not sure if the 886 does work, Sin Games. I'm not saying it doesn't work. All I'm saying is that based on my technical analysis and backtesting, I've backtested the 0.88, and that's where I derived my probabilities from. If you tap the 0.88, you increase the probability of taking the low, blah, 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 blah. Okay, right. So maybe the 886 also works, but I can tell you now, if my level was at the 886, I would have missed the short. Okay, I can exactly like you've said now. Okay, if my level was there, I would have missed this short today. I would not have gotten into the short, but because of the 8.8, I got into the short. Then I would have said, then I would have been here on the live stream and told everyone, shit, my level got front run. I wanted to short it, and yes, by $80, I missed the level. Right? Luckily my level got hit today. Okay, cool. 886 was tapped on Coinbase. Okay, interesting. Okay, where does the three-wave structure usually retrace to if we now form a five-wave structure locally? It's a good question, right? Maximum target when you have a five-wave structure to the upside. So let me take this out the way. Okay, guys, I love to educate. Okay, if you guys are asking me technical questions, I'm more than willing to, spend some time helping a brother out. Okay, when you can see a five-wave structure to the upside, you'll take your FIB from the low to the high of the structure. Okay, which is now there at the moment. And unfortunately, this is might not be an answer that you are looking for. Okay. But when you can see clear 5 waves to the upside, so you can now see, well, we have a 5-wave structure here to the upside. Let me make this green because this was a bullish structure, okay? Let me make this primary. Right, there's your 5 waves to the upside. Common, the most common retracement areas is this zone over here. And it's a zone. The most common is this zone. From the 0.5, maximum 786. Because when you tap the 0.88, you increase the probabilities of taking the low. Okay, this is the most common zone. From the 50% up until the 786. The 0.382 is your minimum target. So minimum, maximum. Preferred in this zone over here. Okay, but I have seen retracements tap the 2.36, but it's very rare. But it happened here. We tapped the 2.36 over here with this retracement. But what was the clue over here is how long the retracement took. Because you have to take time into consideration. And what do I mean by time? So let's say you now have a zone. We have 5-wave structures here to the upside. Okay, so you know, okay, I've got my zone and I have my minimum target. And by the way, look at how beautifully this 0.382 lines up. Very nicely, okay. You have your zone over here, but what you have to do, okay, if I can teach you anything today, right? And let's say we start a larger correction here to the downside. We start falling here to the downside aggressively. Now you know, okay, this correction looks like it's going to go a little bit deeper. Okay, you have to take your time FIB. Okay, your time FIB. It's this little icon, trend base FIB time. This is what you use. Okay, take your time FIB from the low of the structure, that first candle of the low, to the pivot of that high of the structure, and you double click it there. Okay, if this correction is correcting this entire structure, it has to finish after the 0.382. Okay, where a lot of people make mistakes. Okay, so let's say that we play this out now. Let's say that this structure is now going to correct itself, the entire 5-wave structure, and it falls. Okay, it does that. A lot of people will be buying over here. I can tell you that much. A lot of people will be buying there because they think the correction is over because of how deep it went. And it did tap a level of interest. Then what happens, it shoots up and it comes down again. Okay, and now you have a 3-wave structure that finished after the 0.382. This is why time is so important to me, because traders that starts out, they will buy this dip. I will look at time and say it's too early. It's not time yet. It's not time to buy the dip yet. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yes, you can get a little bit of a relief rally, and I will definitely be looking for longs here, even if we make it before the 0.382, because I want to take my advantage of the bounce there to the upside. I want to trade this, okay? But from a spot back perspective or an investment perspective, or from a perspective that you're going to form a higher low and take the high again, you have to finish the correction after the 0.382, which is on 25th of May. 0.618, even better. 1-to-1 perfect extension. Okay, market is never perfect, unfortunately, right? So we have to sometimes, you know, when I see the lows being made after the 0.382, I can see a 3-wave structure. I can measure the 3-wave structure, because there's many ways in which I can also calculate where the 3-wave structure is going to end. Okay, so time for me is very important. If it dumps, yes, I will play along, okay? But it's not going to be the long that just continues to the upside. If it does this, okay, even tapping the 1 to, you know, you can have a longer sideways corrective structure. It doesn't matter. 1-to-1 extension, 0.618, 0.382. But the correction has to come to an end after the minimum requirement. And this was the clue over here. And this was the clue over here. is that the corrective structures finished way after the 0.618. I think even some of them tapped the 1-to-1 extension. So from a timing perspective, I was like, we are not falling down, but we are meeting the time requirement, which increases the probabilities that we're going to shoot up, because a correction can also take long in time and not be deep and just carries, it carries on back to the upside. So in saying that, what could also play out is that, okay, you get a correction that does this. Okay, and then it continues. It does not have to go deep. It's time that is important. Cool, legends. What else? What else? And then, obviously there's the other thing as well. ABC, let's just use the easiest complex corrective structure. Okay, A, B, C. Okay, once you have A and you have B, you can calculate where C is going to end. And if this C lines up with other levels that you are eyeing over here, that's where it becomes pretty. But unfortunately, I need A and I need B to see where C can end. Okay, because you will take your trend-based fib, very, very simple. You'll take your trend-based fib from the high to the low of A to the high of B. And usually, okay, let me just take the scribble out. Let me just put this back. Okay, so I just want to take this fib out. Okay, right. And this is my favorite way to trade. I'm not a big fib retracement person. I like fib extensions more. Okay, so if you form an ABC, 1-to-1 extension, 1.236, 1.618. Very, very common C-wave targets, but also corrective targets. This is also WXY, ABC. Doesn't matter. Any three-wave structure, they have targets. 1-to-1, 1.236, 1.618. This is where I start looking for longs. Okay. Right. Cool. What else? Any thoughts about XRP? Elizabeth, XRP looks amazing. Okay, I'm not sure where you bought XRP, Elizabeth, but it really looks good. Okay, I will go through it tomorrow. I don't think I want to go through some of the altcoins today. But what I can tell you is, let's just have a quick squiz here on the weekly time frame. Okay, let's look at XRP here on the weekly time frame. Just very quickly, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. Okay, on the weekly time frame, let's just keep it simple. I know it looks messy. I've done a lot of technical analysis. I needed to be sure, okay, because it's part of my spot bags. I needed to be sure, right? I needed to work out some levels, but I can see on the weekly, you can see a 1 and a 2. Beautiful, large time frame. I can see a 3 and a 4. You still need a 5. So I'm looking to take advantage of this move. Okay, even if it, guys, and I have to, I just have to stress the following. This corrective structure to the downside, even if it takes the low again, I am still super bullish, because when I zoom into the 8-hour, 4-hour time frame and I try and figure out if this structure is impulsive to the downside, it doesn't make sense for me. It looks very, very corrective to the downside. So from a conservative perspective, I'm looking at a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I still have my target at $6.5. This is where I'm planning to take most of my XRP profits. $6.5. I don't care if it goes higher. I really don't care, because there is a bullish case scenario where it can even go to $10. There are those scenarios, but I'm paying myself this bull market. I'm paying myself, and I'm going to be taking profits where I know it's conservative targets. So when people are, have thumbnails about $10 and $20 and $30 XRP, they are smoking their socks. I'm going to start taking profits here. Right, so for me, this was still a great accumulation zone. You're still expecting a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you have a 5-wave structure, you should start getting concerned because you could have a 3-wave corrective structure and then continuation back to the upside. Okay, but I don't want to go underwater after I've bought here on the 5th of August. Okay, you guys all know the story. You're on the 5th of August where I bought XRP. I don't want to go back underwater. Maybe, you know, I'm almost back at entry price, hoping now for the 3rd wave. No, I want to take profits and I want to buy again over here. Okay, and if it continues higher, then it must go, right? I'm happy with the profits that I've made on XRP, considering that I actually sold all of my spot bags and then rebought on the 5th of August is where I bought XRP again. So Elizabeth, I think, you know, unfortunately, nothing's ever guaranteed in the market, but you know, I can see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I zoom into the smaller time frames, it looks awfully corrective. Even if it takes the low again, I'm not going to stress, I'm going to buy more. Even if it takes the low, okay? It's a very corrective structure on the smaller time frames. I don't want to go into it right now. It's going to take too long, okay? But you want to see at least a 5-wave structure to the upside. There are more bullish case scenarios, okay, where it goes to $7, $8, $9. I want to be conservative with my target that I have set at $6.5. Okay, there's my target. Right. Also very interesting to note, in Elliott wave theory, they teach you about volume, okay? Most amount of volume is always in your 3rd wave. And now what you would like to see, okay, while price is pumping here to the upside to go and complete the 5th wave, you want to see volume decreasing. You don't want to see that, because that's typical in Elliott wave theory. Your 3rd wave carries the most amount of volume. So when you go higher, okay, than these pivots and volume starts decreasing, that gives you the clue that your 5-wave structure is coming to an end and you should be taking profits or looking for shorting opportunities. Okay, if volume, if XRP had to pump over here and volume starts increasing, then we're looking at a way more bullish structure than the conservative structure that I have over here. So, and I have to highlight, the structure that I'm seeing here on XRP, or what I'm trading at the moment, is a very conservative structure. There are more bullish structures that can take us to higher levels, but the volume is going to give me the clue. The volume needs to supersede this volume with the next leg here to the upside. If volume starts to increase, superseding this volume, I might not take profits at this zone. I will just leave it. Right. So price needs to tell me the story. It needs to tell me where it wants me to take profits. Okay, right. So Elizabeth, I hope I've helped you out over there. Link, full moon soon, Dewald. Yes, when is the next full moon? In a couple of days, if I'm not mistaken. Thanks for the education, Dewald. Can you please share your FIB settings and time FIB as well? Okay, my time FIB doesn't have... I don't mind sharing my settings, guys. You can just take screenshots, okay? My time FIB doesn't have settings. I've just changed the colors. That's all I did. And maybe I changed some of the numbers. The other numbers I don't care about, okay? So these are the important numbers. You can take a screenshot or just pause the stream and take a screenshot. My FIB extensions, okay? Here's my FIB retracement. Guys, I really don't mind sharing my settings. There you go. Okay? FIB retracement and then my FIB extension. Okay, settings, there you go. Take a screenshot. There you go. Right. Okay, I remember what I used to do, you know, and each to their own. When I started learning to trade and the people that I used to follow, I would make my numbers and my colors and everything exactly the way that they did it, so that when they had their levels on the chart, I knew exactly what they were talking about. Okay, and yeah, I just basically... okay, stuck to that, and I'm so used to the colors that often, you know, my numbers will be outside of the screen and I'll only see the lines, and I can tell you, you know, I just know them. 0.618, 786, 1-to-1 extension, 1.236, 1.382, 1.618, 2.618. Okay, I just know them all off by heart because I've memorized the colors. I don't even need to see the numbers anymore. Right, and that comes with playing a lot of trades, guys. A lot of trades under my belt. Okay. Cool, legends. And remember, if you'd like to come and trade with me and support the channel, it costs you nothing extra. You, in fact, benefit from the best deals. Bluffin has got an amazing deal, by the way, okay, to claim up to $300. You deposit $100, you get $15. $500, $75. $1,000, $150. $2,000, $300. I think from a percentage perspective, it's 15%, okay? So free money to trade with, to go and practice, use towards a stop loss or a loss or profits. Okay, who knows? Yeah, on Bluffin, also the more you trade beyond this, the more money gets airdropped into your account. With Bluffin and Weeks, all you need is an email and a password. It is your way to support the channel, and all the altcoins that I always go through here, BTC, they can all be traded on Weeks and Bluffin. Okay, if you'd like to come and join our Legends Pro community, yeah, it's the link also down in the description. Right, what else? Thanks a lot. You are a legend. Absolute pleasure, man. Full moon is happening as we speak. Guys, I actually have a full moon calendar. Let me go check it out. I have a full moon calendar. Ooh, I deleted it. Okay, let's do this. When full moon, let's do this, right? Let's Google here together. Okay, March, April, May, 26th of May. Full moon, only on 26th of full moon. Okay, here we go. 12th of May. 12th of May, ooh. Are we going to get more buying pressure? Are we going to get more buying pressure? Guys, I would not be surprised. I really would not be surprised. Let's go back here onto Bitcoin. Okay, let's take this junk out of the trunk here quickly. And switch on my moon indicator. Okay, just wait for that to load up. Here we go. Oh, full moon actually I should have just switched this on. I thought it's not going to be there already. I thought, you know. Okay, but yeah, you guys can see, okay, when you are in a trending market, the moon cycles work best. Okay, so let's just see what happened here. We had this beautiful full moon print over here, but then we consolidated. Okay, we went into a correction, but it had the buying pressure to push up the price. Then we had a new moon, and we had this little dump, but also a pump to the upside. So this one really of a nothing burger over here. But when the momentum is to the upside, okay, it's the full moons you want to pay attention to, because they usually give you the best buying opportunities. When price is to the downside, you want to pay attention to your new moons, the blue moons over here. Okay, because they usually give you the best price to get into the shorts. So let's play out the scenario, just for shits and giggles, is to say that we've rejected by the 0.88. Okay, let's play out the scenario. Right, we've rejected by the 0.88. We have the full moon that's printing here. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a pullback into the golden zone and then continuation. Okay, but nothing goes up in a straight line. This structure needs to correct itself. The structure needs to correct itself, okay, at some point, right? But I mean, now the question is this correction going to correct this structure, or is this correction going to correct the entire structure? Because we can count 5 waves. Guys, if we are going to go into a super bullish structure over here, this is not 5 waves. This is a 1-1-2 combo to the upside. This is gonna get crazy really quickly, okay? And I expect to at least have 2,000, 3,000 people watching this live stream in the next couple of weeks if the scenario is going to play out, because then retail is going to be back. Okay, retail is going to be back, because if this structure turns out to be a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. And it starts flying here to the upside, this becomes a super third wave here to the upside. And then you expect, once you get to $115,000, $118,000 or even $120,000, you still expect 4-5, 4-5, 4-5 to the upside. It has to repeat this to the upside as well. Okay, so this is the most bullish case scenario. 1 2 1 2 1 2. You want the 3 4 5 4 5 4 5 to the upside. Okay, I'm not saying this is going to happen, guys, but I'm just saying it could happen. If we make a higher, if we do not claim these lows and we make a higher low over here on top of the full moon, and we start ripping here to the upside, there's a high chance that you have formed a 1112 combo, and it's going to rock and roll here. Face melting price action. Alt season is back. Okay, altcoins are breaking again, and you know, it's just going to be crazy here to the upside. Right, but once you have this extended leg here to the upside and you start chopping here to the upside, this is usually where I start taking profits, especially if I can start seeing the choppiness. Exactly what happened here. Do you guys remember this? Okay, you had 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 4 5 4 5, the last high. So once you see the choppiness, okay, after the impulse, this is where you need to start taking profits. Okay, you can see you have the grind at the bottom, you have the grind at the top, and then you correct. Right, but it can still form a higher low and then continue. Cool. Very interesting that we are printing that full moon, guys. But you know, let's just stay level-headed. I don't want to be now the person that says we are definitely building a 1112. Let's just put our level head caps on. Let's forget about the moon cycles for a second over here. Okay, each structure needs to correct itself. We can count 5 waves to the upside. The highest probable scenario is to form a 3-wave structure to the downside, form a higher low, and then we continue. Okay, a 1112 is most probably a scenario I think that not many people will expect, because I do see from the YouTube channels and everything that I'm watching and other people that I'm following, just to keep my finger on the pulse, it seems that a lot of people are expecting a deep correction over here. And what if we get a shallow one, bullish CVD building up, and it leaves these people behind? Exactly what happened here. We had such a shallow correction, and everyone waiting for that higher low over there, or that higher low over there after we had this impulse. They all got left behind. What if we have another shallow pullback, and it just leaves everyone behind and forces everyone to buy in at higher levels? So definitely something that we need to pay attention to. Okay, so I will be here on the live streams with you guys. We will analyze these damn structures. Okay, we will see if there's strength building up or whether there's weakness building up. But for the most insane bullish case scenario, this low needs to hold. You cannot lose this low. Okay. Yeah, too true, my guy. You're right, Dewald. Everyone is saying that online. Yes, Alex, I've also watched, I don't want to mention too many names, but I've watched a couple of YouTube influencers this morning. And something that I thought about before I jumped here onto the live stream is it just feels like, and it looks like, everyone is expecting a cool off. They can see the 5-wave structures and everyone is saying massive resistance. Okay, after the pullback, we're all looking for longs. This is the words that I'm hearing. We are all looking for longs in this zone above the highs that we created over here. And I'm just in the camp of, well, what if we don't get here? What if we don't get here? What if it's such a shallow retracement that finds support in the golden pocket? Okay, playing out the probability of the 0.88, you retrace to the golden pocket, you make a higher low, it turns out to be a 1112, and it just it takes off, you know, better than an Elon Musk rocket here to the upside. Okay, right, it's definitely a possibility, and it leaves all of these people behind, and it forces them to buy in at higher prices. Right, I'm not saying, guys, you go and put limit orders here. Please, please, please. There's a way to get into this trade with good risk management. Okay, a couple of things that I will be looking at is break of trend. Right, look at this, guys, and this is something that we need to pay attention to. Okay, Look at this. Okay, the previous structure, we had a beautiful break of trend. Okay, whether you played that breakout, maybe you played that breakout, but you can see you can get into the trade. You can get into the trade, either the retracement momentum to the upside. Again, look at this beautiful D line that broke out over here. Okay, with that retracement. So maybe, just maybe, okay, it also forms a beautiful retracement here to the downside. Okay, it forms a nice trend. We can play the breakout so that we can exercise good risk management. I'm not a limit order person and then it falls and then I'm deep underwater. Okay, it's not my style of trading. I like to sniper levels like this. Okay, the short that I'm in right now, beautiful, best risk management ever. Already paid myself here to the downside, and I'm leaving a moonback open for lower levels. Cool. Can you tell me how to buy? I just want to delete. Sorry guys, I want to delete this comment. I don't like scammers here in the comment section. I'm not sure. Do we still have a mod here in the comment section? Okay. Just missed a Sophie. Can we just delete this Sophie comment over here? Thank you so much. Right. I don't remember when last time I was happy with my spot back. Yes, Muhid. I must say, most of the altcoins where I was so deep underwater is now out of water at least. Okay, I still have one or two that's a little bit in water under the water, but most of them have lifted out of the water. And then maybe what we can do tomorrow, I have run out of time, we can spend a little bit more time on altcoins. Okay, I want to go through the list that I've prepared and I want to add to the list and tell everyone why I'm adding to my blue list. As you can see there on top, okay, I'm building a blue list of tokens that I want to get into, or I'm either already in, I'm planning to add, but it's the one that looks the best from a technical perspective. Okay, and there's a flavor of fundamentals in there as well. But at the end of the day, I'm not a fundamental trader, I'm a technical trader. Okay, and I want to add to this list. So maybe tomorrow you can bring me some of your altcoin requests and we can see if we can have a nice little list of at least 10, 15 altcoins. I don't want to go more than that. Okay, I don't like to have too many altcoins. They're too difficult to manage, especially, if you want 50, 100 altcoins in your portfolio, you're going to knock your socks off. I can tell you now, with 5 to 10 altcoins in my portfolio, I will most probably make more profits than a person that has 50 altcoins in their portfolio, because they don't know how to manage. It's too difficult to manage. You can't manage that. How do you work out profit-taking areas, Fibonacci levels, Elliott wave theory? How do you do all of that on 50 or 100 altcoins? You're going to work your ass off. Okay, you need to work smarter, not harder. So you want enough so that you can not have concentration risk in your portfolio, but you don't want so many that you can't manage them. Okay. Right, legends, thank you so much. Have yourselves an amazing day. Until the next one, cheers for now.